All right, here we go, guys. Note 9 LCD replacements. If you want to pause on the tools just to get a better idea of exactly what you need, you can go back and do that. You're going to need a heat gun, Phillips head screwdriver. You'll need a spudger, needle nose tweezers, a couple of picks, and like an iSesamo tool or an iFixit knife, as you can see right there. Full transparency on this device, it has been repaired before, so we are not going to spend as much time taking off the back as we normally would. I still tried to kind of illustrate exactly the same procedure that I normally would do, even if it was a brand new device or one that's been taken apart before. So this one just happens to be a little easier, and instead of taking about 10 to 12 minutes to get that back off, it's a little closer to 7, I think. Same rule of thumb applies. When you're heating up that back glass, I like to do it to where I can touch it for about a second or so, and then I know that it's hot enough. As you can see, that pick is running smooth up and down. There's a little bit of pushback, but not much by any means. So I start with the one side, leave that pick in there, and then come over to the other side and heat that up. You know, it's a little easier to go side to side, and then focus on the bottom and then focus on the top. And you'll kind of see that here in a second. So same thing applies. Get that side nice and hot, basically hot to the touch. You know, once you get that pick in there, it's fairly easy to tell if you're going to be able to run it up and down. If it's giving you any trouble going with even just a little bit of pressure, then you probably need to heat it up just a little bit more. Again, this one's real easy. Once you get that side there, you can see you could just kind of wedge that iFixit tool in there. Obviously, don't use the metal on the back glass. You want to use the plastic all the way around. And then I leave it up about where the fingerprint scanner will connect. And I believe the bottom actually even just came off right there. So from there, I'm going to push through the fingerprint scanner as I'm simultaneously lifting. And then boom. It's that easy. Okay, I lied. It's not always that easy. However, it was that easy. You have about 15 screws here. The nicest thing about Samsung is that all of the screws are going to be the same size. So you can, when you put them on your mat, you don't have to necessarily keep them in any particular order like you would an iPhone. I like to not speed these videos up. You can obviously skip ahead if you want to, but this is a 17-minute video, and that's basically as long as the repair is. So, you know, you can do a Note 9 generally in about 20-25 minutes, you know, if that back didn't come off as easy. Because that means that some of the other components on the inside will probably come off a little easier than normal, but not, you know, not anything out of the ordinary. But yeah, as I mentioned, I like to keep my videos in real time. So if this is someone that is just watching this for the first time, you can get a really good idea of how long it can actually take you. Obviously, you know, anywhere from 20 minutes to 50 minutes would be okay. Looks like, there we go, just about done with the screws. Popping those over to my magnetic board. If you're utilizing this for training, as you can see, I've condensed my toolkit down to just the bare necessities. I do have a backpack full of tools. However, I know kind of what I need for most of these jobs, and I like doing it that way. It helps me set up fairly quick, and just get started on the device itself. So that list of tools is pretty much what I utilize on every single job. There we go. And then we take our spudger and obviously unhook the fingerprint scanner. And then I like to kind of wedge that with a little bit of a click, so to speak. You'll kind of see it there. There you go. And a little flick, I guess, a flick of the wrist. First things first, unplug the battery always. Proximity sensor, front-facing cameras there. I realize I'm moving just a little fast, but this just gives you an idea of how quickly you can actually get these phones done. LCD and digitizer down below there. And then the charge port. This particular one will have one screw up in the motherboard up top there, and then I believe 4 screws down below. And as always on Samsungs, don't forget to pull that SIM card out. And since this is a Note series, don't forget to pull the stylus out. What's nice about the Note series, and kind of where some of these newer flagship phones are going, instead of the ribbons, they're actually setting the motherboard on the connection, so to speak. So for instance, the headphone jack that we'll pull out here in a minute, it just rests in place, and then the motherboard rests on top of it. And when you put everything together, it completes that connection. I really like that. It's really hard to mess those things up. And that's another thing that's kind of cool about the Samsungs, is that they're super modular, meaning that you can't really put things back in the wrong spot. Like the 2 cameras up top there. There we go. We got the motherboard out. We always pull the motherboard out from the bottom, and then make sure that you are clear of all the ribbons, and then literally just lift it right out of place. Right now we've got the proximity sensor. Like I said, that one came out a little easy. Then we're going to move down to the headphone jack, which the headphone jack has a little stronger adhesive, but if you go at it from the side, you can kind of get underneath it with the needle nose tweezers. There's that, and then the charge port. That kind of came out pretty easy. And then we're ready for the new part. These generally have a battery installed, and they usually come with about 20% on the new battery. Again, if you're utilizing this for training, it's nice to kind of set the expectation of the customer, let them know that even if they didn't need the battery, it is nice to at least have a brand new one in there. I generally tell people, these batteries have about 500 cycles on them. You'll get conflicting reports with each company, but in my experience, it's about 500. Basically, if you charge your phone every single day, then about a year and a half, you're going to start to see that battery deplete a little bit quicker. And that's, again, just in my own experience. That's not anything official. So go ahead and pull off all the protective film, and then we can start to reassemble. And again, it's just extremely modular, so put the things in one way, take your time with it. You got to really try hard to mess these things up at this point. That's your proximity sensor going up top there. That just kind of rests right in place. That's nice. Motherboard will go in. I like to put in the top first, get the battery connection around, and that proximity sensor ribbon. And then you've got the charge port that generally sneaks underneath it. So just pull that out. You can kind of see that there. And then it should rest right into place. Keep in mind, don't force it. You do have two little grounding connections at the very top and at the very bottom. And there we go. We're just plugging in the digitizer and the LCD. What's nice about those is that you will get a pretty solid click once it actually completes that connection. We got the one screw. That screw is a different size than all the others, so definitely keep it aside from all the others. You can get your battery or your cameras back in there. And again, one size is bigger than the other, so can't really mess that up. Clicking in that proximity sensor there. And then the battery. We're almost done. We're in the home stretch right now. Basically just need to put in the screws down at the bottom, and then we'll put the plastic and the NFC back on and screw that in. And from there we'll turn it on to test it, and then we'll heat up the back and put that back in place. So you can see that, with the right tools and just a little bit of knowledge, I do believe that most people can do this repair. Granted, we as the mobile technicians, we legitimately do 2-3 of these a day, 2-3 iPhones a day, sometimes more. So, at times we do forget that it's not always as easy as we say it is. But if it's something that you're looking to get into, legitimately practice. You're going to come across random things at random times, especially when you're going into people's homes and setting up, at their kitchen table or their coffee table, or sometimes in their garage. You gotta be able to be comfortable in just about any setting. So here we go, 15, 16 screws, something like that. With that plastic backing, you do want to kind of work the parameter and hear the clicks as you kind of go around. Because again, if one of the pieces doesn't click in as it should, then when you go to put that back glass on there, it's going to have a bulge. So you just want to make sure everything's flush. And this was not sped up in any way. This is just going through and replacing, obviously, the whole screen, the glass, the LCD, the digitizer, the mid-frame, the battery. All those were brand new out of the box. So 99% of the time that's going to be the replacement, whether or not you purchase it on your own, or if this is something that you're going to be doing for a company, that's going to be the part that you use. Major difference would be you may not have a battery pre-installed, which can be a pain in the ass, but you can heat those up quite a bit too. Alright, almost done with the screws here. Never really seems like that much, but yeah, it's a decent amount. There we go. Let's see here, once we heat up that back glass, it's important to again set the customer expectation that we reuse the adhesive that is already on there. Unless you just completely murder that adhesive, then we're going to reuse it. And for the sake of time, we don't add more unless it absolutely needs it. So I believe we're powering that on. Should be bringing back that back glass. There we go. Gonna heat that up to about 1200 degrees. No, I'm just kidding. It's a couple hundred degrees, like 200, something like that. A lot of guys said don't do it past 180, but I just heat it up until, like I said before, it's a little too hot to touch. But you don't want it burning your fucking finger off either. So use your best judgment. What I used to do with videos, if I was watching a video, I would legitimately try to mimic exactly what I saw. And that's kind of what that was the problem with some of the videos, is that they wouldn't actually show you. They would show you, oh, I'm going to start to heat it up, and then they would jump to, okay, we've got it taken off. It's like, you bastards. So this way you can at least see what it takes to put it back on, what it takes to take it off. A realistic time frame of this job. There we go. So yeah, you don't want to focus too much in one spot. I was getting distracted there because my customer was talking to me, but as you kind of move around the parameter of the adhesive there, just want to double check it every once in a while and make sure that it's not just blazing hot. But also, it's kind of one of those things there, you'd really have to try hard to fuck it up. Or if you're using the wrong heat gun, got a couple of techs that are using like automotive heat guns, and they're like 1100 watts. That's basically enough to do some real damage. This is 300 watts, so it's only going to get so hot. The video is almost done here. It might cut off a little early, so keep in mind, guys, if you have any questions or any thing that you think I missed, leave it down in the comments, and like and subscribe. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Put a little bit of pressure on that